What are you saying, guys? So today I'm going to be talking to you about 5 things that you can be doing right now, which is going to help you get closer to becoming your highest self. I'm talking about reaching your highest potential, becoming that version of yourself that you have the image of in your head and you're trying to get there, I'm going to talk you through a few things that you can be doing that's going to get you closer to that point by the end of this year. We've got 2 months till the end of the year, and that is plenty of time to see an improvement in yourself. You don't need to wait for January, we're going to start now. So here we go, let's roll the intro and hope you guys enjoy this one. Right? Subscribe! I love you guys. Okay, I've broken this down into literally 5 steps to follow. So here we go, let's kick it off with the first one. Number 1 is create an image in your head of the version of yourself you want to be. Then identify what's standing in the way of you becoming that version of yourself. Is it physical fitness? Is it your financial situation? Is it your self-confidence? Is it the environment you're in? Whatever it is, do a quick evaluation of where you are right now and where you want to get to. You will never get there if you don't know what it looks like when you are there. You will never get what you want if you don't know what you want. It sounds simple, yeah, but it can actually stump a lot of people when they're asked, what do you want? If you're one of those people that, as I'm saying this right now, you're like, actually, I don't know exactly what I want. I haven't pinpointed exactly what kind of person I want to be, exactly what I want to achieve. If you haven't got a very, very clear image of what that looks like to you, that's the first thing you need to do. Number 2, keep that image you have of yourself in your mind throughout the day, every day. Actively making sure you have that reminder in your mind reduces the chance of you possibly losing sight of what you need to be doing to get to that point. Okay, let's say for instance, this ideal image that you have of yourself involves you being a homeowner. If you've identified that the main obstacle between you, yourself now, and the dream self that you want to be is your financial situation, but you're spending more than you're saving, something needs to be changed. If you aren't constantly remembering what it is you want to achieve, you can become a lot less intentional with your actions without realizing it. And you can end up actually not doing anything proactive to help you get to that point. That's how things happen when, like, let's say you set an intention for the start of your year, like a New Year's resolution or whatever you want to call it. And then the year passes, it comes to January the next year, you're setting your intention and it's the same intention that you wanted from the year before. And you're like, oh yeah, I forgot that's what I wanted to do this year. It's because you don't have that constant reminder. When you lose sight of it, your actions are no longer being motivated by that thing. If the main thing separating yourself from your dream self is, let's say, your physical fitness, but you've lost sight of that over time and your gym membership is being wasted and you're making unhealthy lifestyle choices, then you are being stagnant without realizing it. And the key is to remind yourself of your ultimate goal, of your dream self, of where you're trying to get to. It is completely normal for us to occasionally prioritize those things that bring us short-term enjoyment, but are actually counterproductive in terms of us reaching our long-term goal. And as long as that's occasional, there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. If you're saving for this really big holiday, or you're saving for a house or whatever it is, and you on occasion buy something to treat yourself, whether it's an expensive bag or you treat yourself to a fancy meal, that's okay if it's occasional, because that's what life is about, right? Everything is about balance. It's all about moderation. It's the same as enjoying a chocolate or a couple cocktails if your ultimate goal is an improved physical fitness for yourself. But the problem is when you are consistently prioritizing your short-term gain over your long-term goal. And if you don't constantly remind yourself of your long-term goal, which is probably not very easy to achieve, it's not going to be something overnight. If you don't have that constant reminder, you're constantly going to be making choices in your day-to-day life that prioritize your short-term gain instead of your ultimate goal. It's completely natural that by November, we don't have that same motivation we had back in January. If this is you, firstly, don't beat yourself up. You're human and these things are pretty much guaranteed to happen. But the sooner you do this self-analysis and make those relevant changes, the closer you can get to that point you're trying to get to. And there is still time to make significant headway between now and the end of the year. Number 3, Analyze that dream self-image that you have in your head and think about what the daily habits of that person look like. You need to remember that a big change comes from many small changes that build up over time. Those small changes I'm talking about can be thought of as habits. If you first identify what those good habits are, secondly, make those relevant changes to your daily routine and implement those habits, and thirdly, have the discipline to stay consistent with them, you will get there. If your dream self has their own business which is absolutely thriving, but right now your business is not doing that well, think about what changes you need to make to your general routine, your daily life, to bridge that gap. For example, a big shot CEO who has grown their own company from the ground up probably wakes up when their alarm first goes off in the morning. They probably don't spend half an hour in bed scrolling on social media, just lounging around, because they've got things to do. They cannot afford to have that time. They cannot afford to be procrastinating when they first wake up in the morning. So if you currently don't get out of bed when your alarm goes off, if you're mindlessly scrolling on TikTok and you're delaying starting your day, that is a habit that should be on your list of things you need to change. If to improve your business is what your goal is, then by doing that, you're going to have more time in the day, you'll get more done, and you could dedicate that time to your business. It sounds like a small thing, yeah? It sounds like not a lot. Think about it. Half an hour, let's say, you spend lounging around in bed before you actually physically get up every morning. That's half an hour every day. Think about how much time you're wasting, which could potentially be being used to get you closer towards your long-term goal. Half an hour every morning for 7 days in a week, that's 3.5 hours. 3.5 hours that you could be spending on your business, on your long-term goal, on your fitness, whatever it is. Really give it some thought and think about what specific habits can help you get to that place, what specific habits you should be adopting. Even if it feels like such a small lifestyle change, so small that it feels almost insignificant. Like, if I changed this part of my routine, if I did that, it's so small, it's not going to make that much of a difference. It's not worth it. If you think that, remember that a big change only occurs from many of those little changes. From those little changes, but being consistent with them. That one small habit that you almost think isn't worth it, done every day, done 7 days a week, 52 weeks a year, that is what can create a huge impact. Number 4, appreciate what progress you've already made towards that version of yourself. You don't need to be the best version of yourself. You don't have to have reached your highest potential to stop for a second and acknowledge how much you've already done right. Think back to a time when you were further away than you are right now from that highest version of yourself. You have already come that distance. No matter how significant the size of that progress is, it's still progress and it is still significant. And that's still something you need to be celebrating. A big part of becoming a better version of yourself is being able to appreciate what you have, where you are right now, and enjoy it. Enjoy and acknowledge where you are right now. If you don't appreciate your progress along the way, all of those very small but very significant wins, you will not only make the journey a lot harder for yourself, but when you actually get to that point where you maybe have become that best version of yourself, you may not even be able to see it. You will always be chasing it. You will never realize when you have what you wanted. And when I say have, I don't mean physically having something. I mean, if your thing is self-confidence, you could be so confident and not even see it. You could be in a position where you can't see it but everyone else can, and you will still be working towards, I need to be confident, I need to be confident, I need to be confident, but you have been so blinded because you just have tunnel vision that you don't even notice and enjoy the fact you have achieved so much. There is always a nicer home you could have bought, a bigger, more grand, more expensive holiday you could have saved up for, a more physically fit version of yourself, a more confident version of yourself. There is always more, but it's about being happy with what you have when you have it. If you celebrate those milestones of progress, even with just a simple, I did good, you are giving yourself that encouragement. And when you're working towards something, encouragement to yourself along the way is vital. And finally, number 5 is be patient. However that higher version of yourself looks, understand that this process is a process and it will likely take time. And a lot of the time it can happen in a way that you didn't plan for it to happen. Sometimes you have an image of where you're trying to get to, what this version of yourself looks like, and you've created a plan as to how you're going to get from here to there, A to B. And you see it as, I'm A, that's B, I'm just going to make a beeline. But things don't always work that way. There can be things that appear like setbacks, but actually they're not setbacks. They're detours, but they're detours that actually get you there faster, or they're detours that are significant for a reason. You have to be patient and have trust in the process. If you're doing all the right things, all the relevant things, you're consistent, you have that discipline, you will achieve that. But it won't necessarily always be achieved in the way that you plan it. When you're working towards any kind of significant positive change, it is so important to remind yourself that this will not come overnight, even when you're doing all the right things. And I know it sounds obvious, like, yeah, of course it's not going to come overnight. When you are working towards something for a fair amount of time and you're doing everything right, it can be really easy to hit a point where you actually run out of patience. We likely know that this thing we want will take time to achieve, but there is often an underlying deadline in our minds that we don't necessarily know is there. We need to be patient, not only when we're ready and prepared to be patient, but after that point too. If you're working on getting defined abs in the gym and you're doing everything right, you're consistent with your workouts, you're doing the relevant exercises, your form is correct, your diet and other lifestyle factors are as they should be. If you're still not at your final goal by the time that you are convinced you should be there, your patience and habit consistency is now arguably more important than it ever has been up until this point. Once your initial motivation has inevitably worn off or wavered, it is now your discipline, your patience, and your consistency which is going to carry you through. All right, guys, those are the 5 steps. I feel like there is so much more that can be said for this topic. So if you do want an extended version, if you want me to go into more depth, we'll come up with some other factors for you, because there are so many more that come into play with something like this. Let me know and I can do like a part 2 to this, or I can do something a little bit similar. So let me know what you think. But thank you guys so much for watching. You've got this. You've got 2 months, and that is plenty of time to make so much headway towards where you want to get to and who you want to be. So start working on it now, and then you'll be hitting the ground running when it gets to 2024. Thank you guys so much for watching. I love you so much. Stay safe, stay smiling, stay positive, and I will see you guys next Sunday. Mwah! I love you. Bye, guys.